Growing older can be an extraordinary gift, especially once we pass our 70th birthday. At this stage of life, we have an opportunity to reflect on where we've been, where we're going, and what really matters most. The sheer depth of experience we acquire by this point can give rise to a serene kind of wisdom, one that invites us to unburden ourselves of the worries, obligations, and distractions that no longer serve our spirit. The remarkable truth is that living beyond 70 isn't merely about continuing to accumulate more years. It's also about discovering fresh perspectives and, in many cases, embracing a more authentic existence. This is an ideal time to let go of the heaviness in our lives, whether it's the judgments of others, clutter that takes up space in our homes and minds, or old patterns that keep us from savoring life's most meaningful moments. Many of us grow up with a list of unwritten rules, silent pressures, and social obligations. We carry them along as we move through each decade, rarely pausing to ask, is this still what I want or need? Often it's not until we've celebrated multiple milestones and maybe faced some health setbacks or life transitions that we realize just how burdensome these inherited expectations can be. If you're reading this and have already arrived at your 70s or beyond, or if you're simply preparing for a future stage, you may sense that a new chapter is opening, one defined by clarity, self-acceptance, and the freedom to be selective about what we allow into our daily lives. Contrary to the popular saying about slowing down, many older adults find they want to live more fully, but in a way that is calm and purposeful rather than frenzied or forced. This script is about that freedom. It's a chance to explore 9 different aspects of life that we can, and perhaps should, release once we reach this season of deeper wisdom. Letting go of what no longer aligns with our values or happiness can open the door to lightness, peace, and genuine joy. You might discover that certain patterns or relationships you've maintained over decades simply don't resonate anymore. Or maybe you'll find that what you really want is more silence in your day, more laughter with people you love, and fewer obligations that weigh down your schedule. If this resonates with you, you're in good company. Thousands of people around the world are choosing to shed unnecessary baggage in their later years, and focusing instead on relationships, experiences, and personal fulfillment. So think of this text as a friendly companion that encourages introspection. Imagine you're sipping tea or coffee and chatting with an old friend who gently asks, "Are these things making you happy, or are they a drain on your spirit?" As we go through each point, allow yourself to consider where you stand. Feel free to leave comments, share reflections, or discuss personal victories you've had in letting go. After all, one of the greatest joys of aging is that we come to realize we're never alone in our growth. We can inspire and uplift one another by sharing our stories. By the end of this script, you might find a renewed sense of possibility. Letting go doesn't mean loss. It often means making space for what really matters. And at 70 and beyond, that space can be used to craft a more intentional, self-directed, and contented life. Below, we'll explore 9 facets of existence that many people discover they can release, or at least redefine. Doing so helps lighten the load, calm the mind, and illuminate the heart, so we can enjoy the days ahead in the most fulfilling way possible. 1. Shedding the weight of everyone else's opinions. Throughout our lives, it's common to seek approval and reassurance from the people around us. Family members might have their ideas about the right show or the ideal lifestyle. Friends could weigh in on our choices, and society as a whole certainly doesn't hesitate to tell us how to live. For decades, we might shape our decisions, even major ones, based on what others think is correct or acceptable. When we're younger, this might feel necessary to fit in or to avoid conflict. But by the time we're in our 70s, we've often learned a vital lesson. No one else's opinion can define our sense of self-worth. What happens, though, if these external judgments continue to echo? Perhaps certain friends or relatives still believe they have a say in how you spend your time, dress, or manage your finances. The remarkable insight that can emerge in our later years is that we're allowed to release those pressures. We can decide that living in harmony with our own values and sense of inner peace matters more than meeting someone else's expectations. While it may initially feel uncomfortable to let go of others' judgments, the end result tends to be a profound sense of liberation. Consider for a moment how many of your everyday decisions do you make with someone else's preferences in mind. That might include what you wear, where you go for dinner, what kind of vacation you choose, or even more personal aspects of your life. Imagine the lightness you'd experience if you didn't carry that worry about how people might perceive you. No longer waiting for someone's nod of approval frees up your energy for creativity, joy, and authenticity. If there's a conflict, you can remind yourself that while outside voices might be loud, they do not hold the real power to shape your path. Ultimately, the only person who fully understands your journey, your likes and dislikes, your health and limitations, your dreams, is you. If you've already begun to let go of the weight of others' opinions, you might have noticed how empowering that can be. Suddenly, you realize you can paint your walls the color you've always wanted, take up a new hobby no matter how offbeat, or retire to a place that truly nourishes your soul instead of following someone else's script. There is immense satisfaction in thinking, yes, this is truly me, unconcerned with external validation. It's a refreshing way to live and can also serve as an example for younger generations in your family or community. When they see you living honestly, unafraid of criticism, it might help them do the same. Everyone wins when we eliminate unnecessary judgments and live in a manner consistent with our deepest sense of self. 2. Moving on from material overload. Possessions can pile up surprisingly fast over the decades. Extra furniture, closets brimming with clothes, and souvenirs from countless holidays. Some items hold sentimental value, reminding us of precious memories. Others seemed essential when we bought them, but now serve as dust collectors in attics or basements. Often this accumulation becomes an invisible burden, forcing us to maintain, organize, clean, or fret over objects that no longer offer us real value. In a society that encourages consumerism, many of us buy things for fleeting reasons: a temporary sense of excitement, a need to keep up with others, or a belief that ownership equates to success. Yet as we pass the age of 70, it's not unusual to discover that the promise of possessions bringing long-term happiness is hollow. Instead, they can create stress, particularly if you're thinking about downsizing or just want a living space that feels calm, airy, and easier to manage. So what's the alternative? Begin with a simple evaluation. Stroll through your home and ask, do I use or love this item? If the answer is no, perhaps it's time to let it go. You might donate it to someone who will actually cherish it, gift it to a friend or family member who could put it to good use, or sell it for some extra cash. The process of decluttering can be surprisingly emotional as you confront the difference between what's truly meaningful and what's simply taking up room. Yet there's also a deep relief that comes from releasing these physical reminders of days long gone or phases of life you've outgrown. Many older adults who embark on this journey say they feel lighter, more at peace, and eager to fill their home with only what truly uplifts them. And it's not just about the objects, it's about the mental space you regain once the clutter clears. Having fewer items to care for can open up your schedule for experiences and connections that matter. Shared meals with loved ones, travel, or creative pursuits. Even a single box of donated clothes can represent an important step toward reclaiming your living environment as a sanctuary rather than a storage depot. Letting go of unnecessary possessions might be challenging at first, but the reward, a renewed sense of freedom and simplicity, can feel priceless. 3. Paring down social obligations. From weddings and baby showers to dinner invitations and community gatherings, our social calendars can fill up quickly. Some of these invitations spark joy and genuine connection, but others can feel obligatory, something we ought to attend out of politeness or tradition. Over time, these commitments may become routine, leading us to attend events we don't particularly enjoy or find meaningful. The impetus might be guilt, social pressure, or just the force of habit. But when you reach 70 or beyond, the perspective shifts. Time is precious. Not every weekend event or group meeting is a wise investment of your energy. Rather than automatically saying yes, you gain the freedom to ask if an outing aligns with your well-being. You might notice you're more selective about gatherings and prefer smaller, more intimate get-togethers where real conversations happen. Or you might opt for purposeful events, like volunteer activities that resonate with your values, rather than large social galas that leave you drained. Learning to say no tactfully can be a profound act of self-respect. If a friend invites you to something that doesn't interest you, it's acceptable to politely decline without feeling guilty. By preserving your energy, you'll have more to offer when you do attend gatherings that truly matter. It's not about severing ties with people who care about you. It's about recognizing that your time and emotional reserves deserve thoughtful management. Indeed, many older adults report that once they stopped feeling pressured to appear everywhere, they began to enjoy socializing more. By choosing events mindfully, they could show up with genuine enthusiasm. Likewise, you might discover that old social circles no longer align with your current interests or worldview. Rather than forcing yourself to stay connected to acquaintances who drain you, you can focus on forging connections with those who uplift and enrich your life. If you once felt it was necessary to go to every luncheon or group outing, stepping back can be incredibly liberating. The relationships that remain are likely to be deeper and more meaningful because they arise from authentic choice rather than social rules. 4. Redefining beauty and aging. Throughout our younger years, we're bombarded by messages about how to look better. Keep your skin youthful, maintain a flawless figure, hide any wrinkle or gray hair. These messages don't necessarily vanish after 70. In fact, entire industries target older adults with anti-aging serums, cosmetic procedures, and diet regimens that promise to help us look years younger. While there's nothing wrong with caring for your appearance, it's worth questioning whose standards you're really trying to meet. At this stage of life, you might find that real beauty has little to do with an unlined face or perfect hair. Instead, it springs from self-assurance, empathy, and the warmth that radiates from someone who has lived a life rich in experiences. Every wrinkle can be a badge of honor. It's a physical testament to your laughter, your tears, your trials, and your triumphs. Embracing these signs of age can feel revolutionary in a world obsessed with perpetual youth. What if, rather than pursuing the unrealistic ideal of turning back the clock, you invest in simply feeling comfortable and vibrant in your own skin? That could mean focusing on health rather than vanity, eating well, staying active according to your abilities, and perhaps exploring practices like yoga or gentle stretching that support both body and mind. It might also mean redefining your sense of style. Maybe you shift to clothing that prioritizes comfort, or you experiment with colors and designs that reflect your personality rather than chasing the latest trends. Society may continue to perpetuate the myth that aging equals decline, but you don't have to accept that. Embracing your unique age and appearance allows you to show up authentically, which others often find far more inspiring and reassuring than someone clinging to an unrealistic image. In letting go of external beauty standards, you're essentially telling yourself and everyone around you that your worth isn't up for debate. You become a mirror for younger generations, showing them that growing older can be a celebration of self, not a reason to hide. The relief that comes from rejecting impossible beauty ideals can energize you for new adventures. Whether that means picking up a musical instrument you've always wanted to learn, or simply smiling more freely, knowing that your face carries the beauty of a story well lived. 5. Phasing out activities that no longer bring joy. Some of us carry lifelong hobbies or traditions with unwavering enthusiasm. Others discover that what once felt essential may gradually lose its appeal. You might have joined a weekly bowling league in your 40s because it was fun and social, but by the time you're in your 70s, you might prefer something less noisy or physically strenuous. Alternatively, you might have loved hosting massive holiday gatherings every year, only to realize it's become more work than pleasure. Releasing these obligations or long-standing activities doesn't equate to giving up on life. It's about making space for new passions or for simpler pleasures. Perhaps you'll find that you enjoy smaller get-togethers, more creative pursuits like painting or writing, or a daily walk in nature. If certain traditions or sports feel like a chore, it may be time to explore something new or scale back. This can be a chance to do what you genuinely want rather than what you've always done. The shift might initially feel strange. After all, humans are creatures of habit, but you'll likely find it refreshing once you allow yourself to embrace change. It's normal to feel some nostalgia for how things used to be, yet acknowledging that you've evolved over time is healthy. You're not the same person you were at 30 or 50, and that's a testament to growth. There's a certain grace in allowing old pursuits to fade away with gratitude, making room for fresh experiences that resonate with who you are now. Sometimes this decision can be as simple as moving from a large monthly book club that no longer interests you to a more intimate discussion group on topics you genuinely love, like travel or cooking. Other times it can be more significant, like deciding not to continue a professional consultancy or leadership role if it no longer sparks motivation. What would you gain if you let go of an activity that no longer lights you up? Perhaps a sense of relief, additional free time, or renewed energy to chase a dormant passion. Remember that letting go doesn't erase memories. It simply grants permission to step into the present. By being honest with yourself about what still makes your heart sing and what doesn't, you honor the natural evolution of your interests and find deeper fulfillment in everyday life. 6. Distancing yourself from toxic relationships. One of the hardest truths to accept is that not every relationship we maintain is good for us. Over years and decades, you might accumulate friends, acquaintances, or even family members whose interactions leave you feeling drained, belittled, or anxious. Because humans are social creatures, it can be very challenging to cut ties or set boundaries. We may reason that we've known someone for so long, or that they're family, so we have to put up with their negativity. But as we pass into our 70s, the realization dawns that life is too brief to spend around people who don't have our best interests at heart. Toxic relationships can manifest in different ways. Some are overtly critical or manipulative. Others might be more subtle, like a friend who only ever calls to complain about their life but never listens to yours, or a relative who routinely undermines your self-esteem. These patterns take a toll on emotional well-being and sometimes physical health as well, especially if you find yourself stressed or upset after each encounter. Choosing to distance yourself is a courageous act of self-care. You can't control how another person behaves, but you can control the space you allow them to occupy in your life. This doesn't always mean a dramatic break. Sometimes it's enough to set boundaries, like limiting phone calls or refusing to engage in certain topics of conversation. In other cases, especially if emotional or verbal abuse is involved, you might opt for a clean break. When you do, you might feel a flood of relief, along with sadness that a connection you once valued can't continue in a healthy way. Letting go of toxic bonds can free up emotional energy to invest in more nourishing relationships. It also reaffirms your self-worth. You're sending yourself a powerful message. I deserve respect, kindness, and emotional safety, and I am willing to make changes to ensure I have them. Age can bring a new level of clarity about what's truly important, and that clarity can make it easier to identify people who consistently bring negativity into your sphere. While it's not always an easy decision, the payoff, mental peace, and emotional health can be profound. 7. Escaping the trap of constant comparison. Society often encourages competition, even subtly. From a young age, we compare grades, athletic achievements, or style. As adults, we compare salaries, job titles, relationship statuses, or how perfect our family looks in holiday photos. When we reach our senior years, we might find ourselves comparing health, the accomplishments of our children, or our retirement plans. Yet a lifetime spent measuring ourselves against others can be draining and demoralizing. It shifts our focus away from gratitude and self-acceptance. Letting go of comparison is a practice in mindfulness. You recognize when you are looking at your neighbor's garden or your friend's new car and feeling a twinge of inadequacy. Then you gently remind yourself that their success or possessions do not diminish your worth. Everyone's life story is different, shaped by unique circumstances, challenges, and blessings. Moreover, the outward appearance of someone's life rarely shows the full picture. They may have struggles or heartbreaks that aren't visible to the casual observer. When you resist the urge to compare, you open up mental space for admiration, compassion, and genuine happiness for other people's good fortune. Meanwhile, you bolster your capacity to value your own path. Rather than lamenting that you haven't traveled to as many places as a friend, you can cherish the local experiences, relationships, or personal projects that fill your days with meaning. In a sense, letting go of comparison is also letting go of the illusions of perfection. You begin to see that we're all works in progress, and each stage of life presents different lessons. This shift doesn't happen overnight. You might still catch yourself wondering if your home is good enough compared to someone else's, or if your grandchildren were as accomplished as others. The key is to notice such thoughts without judgment and release them. With practice, you'll discover a calmer, more accepting outlook, one where you measure fulfillment by your own growth and joy instead of external benchmarks. 8. Redefining goals and values. Many of us start adulthood with goals shaped by cultural norms, parental expectations, or personal ambition. We might chase a career, a certain income bracket, or the dream of home ownership. In midlife, we might focus on raising children or climbing a professional ladder. Yet after 70, it's natural that our goals shift, sometimes dramatically. Maybe you realize that what truly matters is spending time with your grandchildren, contributing to your community, or engaging in creative work. Or perhaps you want to place self-care and physical well-being above career success or societal recognition. Redefining goals can be refreshing and empowering. It's a chance to reflect. What do I really want to do with this chapter of my life? The possibilities might surprise you. Some older adults choose to travel, or they delve into volunteer roles that provide a deep sense of purpose. Others might start new relationships or deepen existing ones. A few might revisit old childhood dreams, like playing an instrument, writing a book, or learning to dance. It's never too late to pivot toward aspirations that resonate with your authentic self. The challenge often lies in breaking free from what we think we should want. If society says retirement is about relaxation, but you find excitement in launching a small business or joining a mentorship program, you have every right to do so. Alternatively, if you've spent years working tirelessly and now want nothing more than to cultivate a quiet garden and read novels, that's equally valid. The joy is in making that decision consciously, rather than adhering to external labels for what aging should look like. At the same time, let go of the notion that you must keep up the same pace as before. If you want to slow down, let that be your goal. Set priorities that align with your health, emotional well-being, and cherished values. When your daily life reflects your inner convictions, whether that means giving back to society, nurturing close relationships, or simply having time to savor life's smaller pleasures, you're living a life that's genuinely your own. 9. Putting yourself first without apology. Self-care isn't selfish. In fact, it becomes more crucial as we age, because the body and mind require attentive nurturing to stay resilient. Yet many of us have been conditioned to place ourselves last on the list of priorities. We may worry about seeming self-centered, or we may believe our time should be spent caring for spouses, children, or grandchildren. Of course, loving and supporting family remains vital, but it doesn't have to come at the expense of our own well-being. When you're in your 70s or beyond, your capacity to help others can actually expand if you practice compassionate self-care. By making sure your needs, physical, mental, emotional, are met, you maintain a more balanced perspective. You're less likely to burn out or grow resentful. Instead, you can give from a place of abundance. This might mean scheduling regular health checkups, finding activities that relax you, or dedicating time to hobbies that spark delight. It could mean a simple daily walk outdoors, or a ritual of drinking tea while journaling about your day. Guilt often creeps in uninvited, especially if you're used to equating self-sacrifice with virtue. It's vital to remind yourself that you've already spent decades giving in countless ways. Now, it's not only acceptable, but beneficial to place your well-being at the forefront. Doing so models a positive example for your loved ones. They see that self-respect doesn't vanish after 70. If anything, it becomes more important. If you find it hard to say no to demands on your time, perhaps from adult children, neighbors, or volunteer groups, practice setting clear boundaries. You have every right to weigh each request against your energy levels and personal goals. It doesn't mean you stop caring or contributing to others' lives. It simply means you act with discernment. Over time, the people who truly value you will understand and respect your limits, especially if you explain why it's important. Putting yourself first allows you to remain more genuinely and warmly engaged in the relationships and activities that feed your spirit. Life beyond 70 can be an extraordinary chapter marked by profound clarity and the potential for inner peace. The key lies in discerning what enhances your existence and what weighs it down. By letting go of external validation, clearing out excessive material possessions, minimizing toxic dynamics, and adopting a gentler stance toward yourself, you carve out space for what truly nurtures your soul. Rather than clinging to past achievements or fears, you can explore new facets of yourself. This isn't about retreating from life. On the contrary, you may find yourself stepping into it more fully. Freed from trying to please everyone or chase every fleeting trend, you're left with a more authentic sense of direction. You might devote time to writing memoirs, volunteering at a local shelter, sharing stories with grandchildren, or immersing yourself in an art form you adore. Your daily rhythms can align more closely with your natural energy levels and emotional needs. You choose how and when you engage with the outside world. Living lightly also fosters gratitude. When you stop comparing, stop hoarding needless items, stop caring so much about distant opinions, you begin to see the abundance in simple pleasures. A well-made cup of coffee, a phone call with a dear friend, a dog curling up at your feet, the morning sunlight filtering through your window. Each day can feel precious, not because you're chasing life, but because you've learned to be present in it. If this message resonates, we encourage you to reflect on the 9 areas we've covered. Notice which ones spark a desire to change or a feeling of relief at the thought of letting go. You might choose to start small, maybe removing a single box of clutter or declining one social invitation that doesn't serve you. Or you might feel inspired to make a bigger shift, like setting boundaries with a draining acquaintance or releasing an old dream that no longer stirs your heart. Whatever steps you take, remember that life after 70 is a time of empowerment, not diminishment. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If something strikes a chord, share it. You never know how your insight could motivate someone else on a similar mile. And if you want to keep exploring topics that celebrate growth, wisdom, and happiness, consider liking this piece and subscribing to further conversations that honor the gift of longevity. Here's to you, your freedom, your joy, and your courage to let go of whatever no longer serves you. May you embrace the days ahead with curiosity, gratitude, and a profound sense of peace, recognizing that at 70 and beyond, a lighter, more genuine form of living awaits.